Uh, a very good evening to all the course participants who have joined all over the India for attending the course of remote sensing of soils, mapping, classification, and land evaluation for agricultural land use planning. This course we have taken the first lecture on 3rd March, and today is the fourth lecture in this series. And today the topic is very interesting to all of you, that we will discuss how remote sensing satellite data can be used or are being used in mapping of soils in not in India but all the parts of the world. This is the methodology in general adopted for mapping of soils. We know that is in the, if you remember, in the first lecture I have given the basics of soils, where I have discussed the remote sensing of soils. And here again I emphasize that what today we are going to map the soils, then first comes how we define the soils in conventional mapping. Or when we say that is soil mapping, then we say that is we define the soil as a three-dimensional natural body, where you are seeing in the picture is soil profile. So it means that in soil map we study the soils up to 2-meter depth of the soils, or where up to the parent rock or sea horizon. And in this you are seeing a picture of soil profile, and of this picture soil profiles, yesterday in my lecture discuss in detail, that is how to characterize the soil profile, and then later it was discussed that how to classify the soils. So that's soil classification, where we have discussed in detail the USDA soil taxonomy. So in conventional soil map or in the soil mapping, we give the mapping the soils of the three-dimensional, considering the soil as a three-dimensional natural body. If we see that is the remote sensing of soils, so we can say, when I am talking here, I am going to talk regarding standard soil mapping, that is up to soil taxonomy level, which we call it is a conventional soil mapping, where in general we use visual analysis of satellite data, where we use multispectral remote sensing data. And this multispectral remote sensing data used to delineate or to study the soil landscape unit. And the soil landscape unit forms the basis for soil mapping. Another field of remote sensing of soil, where we are concentrated on the mapping of surface soil characteristics. And when we talk about the surface soil properties, we are today much discussed in the field of digital soil mapping. And digital soil mapping, it integrates your various environmental information, which is known in terms of spectral indices or terrain indices, and we use the geostatistic machine learning methods for mapping of soil properties, and we call it is digital soil mapping. And where another way we can say quantitative analysis. And this is the two measured, you can divide the information retrieval using remote sensing methods. So today we will discuss on standard soil mapping methodology. In general, if we see that is the maps of soil, or when what are the sources to obtain the soil map. In general, we get the map, or we look the organizations which are responsible, or they are having the soil information. The topmost is National Bureau of Soil Survey and Land Use Planning. It is headquarters is located at Nagpur, and this is the organization working under ICAR. It provides the soil map of entire country at 1 is to 250,000 scale. It was prepared using satellite data, and the map was published at 1 is to 500,000 scale. It was means the 250,000 scale, the study was carried out, and publication of the map is at 1 is to 500,000 scale. Another source is Soils and Land Use Survey of India. It is located in New Delhi. Third option is that we can look at the state soil survey department. Every state have their soil survey department. You can obtain the soil map from there. And also National Remote Sensing Center, ISRO, that has generated soil map at 1 is to 50,000 scales of some districts. You can say 30 prepared for the part of the country, and that is also can be was the agency which prepared the soil map. And if globally, if you want soil information, there is also harmonized world soil database at mapping scale of 500,000 scale is available. Soils and Land Use Survey of India, which have the survey at 1 is to 50,000 scale, and in this slide it is shown that is how many districts they have covered and how many states area they have covered. Now, if the soil maps are available with National Bureau of Soil Survey, or soil map available with Soils and Land Use Survey of India, then the question comes, why I need to understand soil mapping concept? The reason is that those soil maps are old. Or if you see, suppose 250,000 scale or 500,000 scale soil map prepared by NBSS and LUP, that was surveyed during 1980s. So many of the property, if the map is 10 or more than 20 years old, so those properties which are dynamic in nature, for example, chemical properties of the soil, so they are changed with the management. So in that case, those soil map for those informations we cannot use, or if we are using, then it is showing the old information. But which are the stable properties? For example, texture of the soil or any other physical properties, those are stable sometimes. Those properties we can use very well. Another, we want to understand the soil mapping concept because it gives us information. Sometimes you are working in a new area, you have the soil map, but soil information is old and you want to generate soil information. Then question comes, where to take the soil samples? Where I decide that from this site or this place I will collect the sample. This can be answered once you learn the soil mapping concept. Also, our objectives are sometimes very dynamic in nature, that we requiring, suppose I am interested for soil quality, soil health, soil fertility, soil carbon stock. These are the dynamic properties. And in this case, we want to collect the samples by ourselves in our project, research project, as well as any user funded project. Then questions comes, where to take the soil samples and what depth we should take. So generally for these parameters or for these applications, we want only 0 to 30 centimeter or 30 to 50 centimeter depth. Whereas the soil mapping, we go for the study of 2-meter depth soil profile. Then we can, if we are interested in soil genesis or conventional soil map, or you can say the soil mapping, then we will study the soil profile. But if I am not interested for the soil profile or 2-meter depth of the soil information, then I can go for surface and subsurface soil collection of the samples and analyzing for those dynamic properties. So then questions comes. Yesterday I also discussed this one, that soil survey scale is very important. What scale we want to prepare the information? So in general, there are 4 type of scales we use in soil survey. That is the reconnaissance scale, semi-detailed scale, detailed scale, and very detailed scales. And it has relevance for mapping. For example, district level mapping, we go for 1:50,000 scale. But for the village level informations or giving the field level data of soils, we go for 10,000 scale. And accordingly, remote sensing satellite data are available with us to cater the need of these scale. Now, come to the remote sensing satellite data and how we can prepare the soil map or generate the soil information. You see that remote sensing data provides surface reflectance. One can characterize surface soil properties when soil is bare or there is no cover. There is no cover, there is no vegetation. Then we can use these reflectance characteristics to correlate or to study the soil carbon, to study the sand, silt, clay minerals in the surface soils, or salt present into the surface soils. But I cannot know what is the depth of the soils. Depth of the soils I can know only after digging the soil profile or studying the soil profile up to its parent material. Or if I am interested in, as I told you, the soil carbon stock or soil quality or soil health, we need to take surface and subsurface. But subsurface properties we cannot get directly from your surface reflectance. So in that case, it is very mandatory to know you that we should go for this approach or soil mapping approach, which I am going to describe in this lecture. And it will help you to find out that how many samples I should take and where I should take the soil samples. So for guiding this one, this methodology will help you, or this is the standard methodology which in general being used by soil surveyor. And many times also, what will happen when the soil is covered with vegetation? Because in satellite data you are seeing the red tone. This dark red is representing the area having thick forest vegetation. So you are getting the reflectance of vegetation, not the reflectance of soil. So in this case, how you will get the information of soil, what kind of soil is there? Very difficult, or it is not possible. So the approach cannot be a direct reflectance, or reflectance characteristics cannot help you to derive the information about the soil where the surface is covered with vegetation, or when you want to know about the subsurface soil. This curve shows that is the soil reflectance characteristics. In case of vegetation, we get a very contrast difference in the reflectance in red wavelength region and near infrared, and in other short wave infrared, and that contrast informations be used to get the information of vegetation, crop type, crop condition, phenology. But in case of soil, there is no very contrasting reflectance characteristics. So it is very difficult, and I also told you that surface reflectance will not give the information of subsurface soil. So it means remote sensing provides surface reflectance, whereas soil is subsurface object. Therefore, direct interpretation of soil is not possible. Here it is shown the soil reflectance. You see there, in general, if the reflected soil having low organic carbon content will have the high reflectance, and soils having high organic matter content will have the low reflectance. So the composition of soil is made of organic matter, sand, silt, clay, soil moisture. So those compositions affect your reflectance. So you can get those informations or salt concentration or nutrient concentration present into the surface soils that will attenuate the reflectance characteristics of soil. In case when soil is bare or having no cover or no vegetation cover. Here you see one field photograph. The hills having the vegetation, and here the flat land having the grasses. Can we map the soil based on soil reflectance from remote sensing data if I take the data? No, because it will give the reflectance of vegetation, not the reflectance of soil. And just you remove, you see, take the soil profile or vertical section, you see the soil is like that one, black color, having high organic matter, having stones also, but on the surface it is not visible. So it shows that is direct reflectance cannot help in mapping soil, subsoil properties or its other properties which is related with the soil horizon or soil profile. So again I repeat, standard soil mapping based on reflectance characteristics is not possible, as we have to map subsoil or soil up to the root zone and beyond it up to the parent material to understand its full potential. So knowing about the surface characteristics of soil will not solve your problem. It will not help much. If you want to assess the potential of the soils for crop or any other uses, you need to understand the soil up to the parent material. What to know its suitability or suitability of crop, suitable for which crop or vegetation, then we have to go for soil profile study or pad-on study. But in case of degraded lands, which is because of degradation, the surface characteristics of the soil get changes. Therefore, degraded lands we can easily map from reflectance characteristics. Here one image shown of the alluvial plain, and you see this one is a river course, old river course. Now river is flowing here, but earlier it was flowing like this. And you know that is the soils in the river bed will be different from the soils from the mainland. So you need to find out type of geomorphology there. Here you see this red color and this red color and this red color all are same. But all similar reflectance does not mean similar soil. If you take the soil profile in both the places you will find the different type of soil. Why? Because soil primarily changed because of difference in parent material. Here you see a picture. I am showing two places similar reflectance, but or three places you see similar reflectance, but all three places soils are same. Soils are not same because all three places, this is the hill and this is the plain land and this is the foothill, but all three places are under the vegetation, but the parent material is changing, therefore all three places even having the same vegetation, soils will be different. So how I can map the soil? So for that one I can say we need a indirect approach and we call it is soil landscape approach or soil physiographic approach. So now we come to the point that soil mapping, learn to the soil mapping concept. And soil mapping concept says also known as a soil landscape model. And soil landscape models are very easy. We can say also call it is soil landscape analysis, or in other words physiographic soil analysis approach, which is used in mapping soils. Here we delineate land area or demarcate the land area which we call mapping unit or soil mapping unit, which are identified and mapped on by visual interpretation of standard false color composite. From FCC, visually we can demarcate the area, but we need to demarcate the area in such a way that the area should be having the similar soil forming factor. And what are the soil forming factors? It has been discussed in your second lecture. Soil is the function of climate, organism, relief, parent material and time. And at a time, you can say climate and time is not much changing for your area, then major factor is your organism, which represented by land use land cover, R relief, which represent the topography, and P parent material means what kind of geology or geomorphology. So if you are, so we try to find out or we want to delineate area which is similar in soil forming factors. It means that will result the similar type of soil. Here, if I told you, if you see that soils are formed because of these 5 factors: climate, organism, relief, parent material and time. And these factors led to a process we call soil forming processes or pedogenic processes. And this process developed the soil properties. And these properties we use to classify the soils, which I discussed in detail yesterday. That is, soils are classified at order, suborder, grade group, subgroup and family level. So here you can say for mapping of the soils, you need to study the soil forming factors. And these soil forming factors, interpretation from remote sensing data will help you to map the soil or to map the area which is having different kind of soil. It helps to you to facilitate, that is, how soils are different, how two areas are different or which area are different in soil forming factor. So what we do to interpret the soil forming factors? One is that is you have the digital elevation model DEM, or you have the topo sheet of Survey of India that can help you to prepare the geology or geomorphology map in association with remote sensing data. So you will get, this is the parent material. Digital elevation model or topo sheet, where you have the contour information, you can derive the topographic information or slope information. Sometimes we also get this information from satellite data by studying the drainage density. So you have also solved the R. You can get the R information. You have got the P information here. Remote sensing data, we can also preparing land use land cover map, and we are calling it is O, organism, this information. And I told you, for any area, if you are, when you are preparing for a district, you can consider in entire district climate and time is constant. So both factor you can ignore because they are not changing in your area. So only 3 factors are changing in an area. First is parent material changing. Second is R, means topography or slope is changing. Third is organism or land use land cover, which is changing. So these 3 things we need to study with the help of remote sensing data, and systematically, one by one, if we study, then what we get the area delineation that will show you, that is the soil map unit, and the unit or area will having the similar type of soils, and we call it is soil landscape unit. And this can be done by visual interpretation method, and in general this is the suggested method and being followed by all soil survey organization. Because here it is shown you, this is the suppose landscape, or this is your area, and this area we have to delineate, or we have to make the polygon, and this polygon should be in such a way that it should be similar in soil forming factors. If they are similar in soil forming factors, then it will develop a similar soils. Then you delineate one area, so land you can divide into various unit, and each unit you study a single soil profile. Here I am studying this soil profile, and I am calling it is a padon, and in this area all the point soils will be similar, or an individual sampling unit is called padon. So that padon, a group of padon is called polypadon, and that is polypadon. So you can say the similar soils will be here. So padon is the basic soil sampling unit, and polypadon is the basic soil mapping unit. So in this soil landscape model, it advocate to delineate a land area which is similar in terms of soil forming factors. So my prime aim is to delineate a land area which are similar in soil forming factors. Then similar type of soils, if 2 places similar soil forming factors are there, then similar soils will develop, and it is known as a soil mapping unit. Then question comes, when to take the satellite data? You take the remote sensing data when there is a no crop, and in general we say that is 2 time satellite data you take, pre-monsoon and post-monsoon. And scale data, it depends on your objective. So if you want to do soil resource mapping, or you want to do dividing your land area or district into various map unit, then this is the simple procedure is demonstrated here. First you map landform or geomorphology, which will represent the parent material. Then each geomorphology further divide based on the topography, that is called relief. And after second layer or after second interpretation, then within the same geomorphology and topography, then you see the land use land cover, that is the which will represent organism soil forming factors. And when by step by step interpretation you will get the map unit or polygon, that polygon will called physiographic soil unit or soil landscape unit. So first I will explain how parent materials I can find out from the remote sensing data. Parent materials means geomorphology, geology, which can be easily seen on the remote sensing data. And if you are getting difficulty, you can take from the geology department or Geological Survey of India or Indian remote sensing, that is a ISRO Bhuvan website. Geomorphology map is available for India at 1:50,000 scale. That map you can utilize to get the geomorphology of your area. Second is the topography. I want to know what is the slope in my area. So here in the satellite data also I can see the slope, because drainage density will tell the slope information. Where you are seeing the drainage are meeting at two places, then you can say that is they are changing the slope from there, this point, or from this point slope is changing. So slope can also be interpreted from remote sensing data, or you can interpret it with elevation data or using your contour map. Here I have shown you satellite data in 3D of that area, and you can see here this area is the hills and Shivalik hills, because you are seeing the topography, and this is the foothills, and this is the alluvial plain. Here you see the river is there, and in the river from this point the water is appearing in the river. So it is indication that from here landform is changing. So this is the alluvial plain, this is the Piedmont plain, but this is the hills. So three type of geomorphology or three type of parent material are present in this area, which is very well represented from remote sensing data. So what you need to do, first you map the parent material, then this parent material, suppose Shivalik hills, you further divide based on the topography or slope, and you can see here the slope is less, here slope is more. So you make the division of this into two, and then again see in this one if there is a change in land use land cover, then further divide. But at one time you make interpretation in one landform or one geomorphology at one time, not all map geomorphology at same time. So first you finish for one parent material or one type of geomorphology, and for that topography and land use land cover both you'd see, and after finishing that you go for the second geomorphology or second parent material type. And in that way, systematic interpretation, what you will get the polygon, those polygons are known as a soil landscape unit, and those polygons, the area represented by those polygons will be similar, having the similar soils in that area. So in that area anywhere you can take the sample. Here in the satellite data, I am also showing that is the Bhuvan image that you can see, that is the different type of geomorphology. This is the river, and along the river, this is the river terrace, and this is the Piedmont plain. So geomorphology can be very well interpreted from remote sensing data. Otherwise, you can take from other source or other ancillary data. Here in this satellite data, which I was telling you, topography we can map. We see that is I have put here the line. It is showing that here the drainage are coming and meeting. You see the drainage are coming and meeting. Why they are meeting? Because of there is a change in the slope. Here again they are meeting at this place. So there is a change in the slope also that is the boundary of the hills. So we can very easily see the topography also from remote sensing data. If you find difficulty, use contour map from TopoSheet, or also see the digital elevation model. From there you can get interpretation of interpretation of slope. Third factor which I told you which govern the soil variability is organism, that is land use land cover. And land use land cover we can easily see from remote sensing data, as in the FCC the reddish dark reddish tone, it is representing the forest. Orange red or light red color, it is representing the agriculture cropland, crop cover. And where the fields are fallow, that is you are representing the whitish. So you can say the land use land cover is not important, is not the first factor which is governing the variability of the soil. So we should not take this, we should not need to take the sample based on the land use land cover, because land use land cover is the third important factor which affect the variability of the soil. First variability of the soils comes from parent material, which is represented as geomorphology. So you need to interpret your remote sensing data, interpret your area, and divide your area based on parent material. So you first prepare the parent material mapping. Then in each parent material, go to see the topography, and when you do the second level classification, then you go for third level classification for land use land cover mapping in the same geomorphologic unit, and those delineations will represent the area having similar soil type. So because in that way you will achieve that a delineation of homogeneous land area having similar soil forming factors. So you see there we have shown, that is I have shown here that is this is the Shivalik Hills, and this is the Piedmont or foothills. This is the alluvial plain. So three geomorphology you are getting from this one: hill, foothill, alluvial plain. So minimum three type of soils are present. Then this is this suppose foothills. Then you divide this one based on the topography, then divide based on the land use land cover. So in one slide I can show you that first you divide the area on the geomorphology, then the geomorphology, this one you divide based on the topography, and here you see in this one I have divided H into H1, H2, H2 type of topography. Then this topography further divided based on the land use land cover, and doing that one, what the polygon you are getting, in this polygon or in this polygon soils are same, you can collect the samples from any point, and this is the easy method of soil landscape delineations, and you can achieve by visual interpretation of remote sensing data. So what we do? We follow 3 steps. First, we do preliminary visual interpretation. You can do in your office or in your lab. Then take that map and go to the field to collect the soil samples. We call it as ground truth collection. And third is your post-field interpretation. You come back to your office and you can again interpret the remote sensing data to change any boundary if you are finding. And how to take the samples? We take the samples following one sample strips, or in one strips where the road are going along the both the sides of road, away from the roads of 100 to 200 meter, we can take soil sample. So in that way we do sampling only in a strip, not everywhere, and then we are able to prepare the soil information. I will show you one case study for that. You see, this is the soil FCC, this is the elevation map. We divided this one in the geomorphology. Geomorphology was further divided based on the topography. So you are saying the drainage is changing, here drainage are meeting, so from here we can draw a boundary. So here you can see the this geomorphology was further divided into based on the slope. So we divided into the slope, and then we have divided the further based on the land use, land cover, and we are getting these polygons. Now in this polygon, suppose this is the polygon, here you see this is the polygon, and in this polygon this P4F means here the soils are, entire area soils are same, anywhere you can take the samples. This is the P4A and this is also P4A. So in this area and in this area soils are same, you can take any point, any place where you can get access through road. So like that we make interpretation and we can achieve the physiographic soil analysis. Suppose this, then we go for the field work. This is the sample strip. I am taking the samples at not everywhere, because the road is going through this, and this road is, suppose you select such a road which go across all the different type of soil landscape unit, and each unit you take 3 to 5 soil samples, depending the how big that polygon is there. So you get the sampling unit samples there, and you study the soil profiles, and we can characterize the soil. So here you see, we taking the soil profile. This is the vertical section of the soils. You take surface, subsurface, or different horizon wise samples and you characterize. We see that is the soils are changing because of your geomorphology, because of our slope. So here if you see, this is the hill. When I have taken the soil profiles, in the hills soil profiles are like that. You see the in subsurface stones is there. But when it was taken in the foothill, and you see the stones are not much. Some stones small size you are getting. So soils get changed entirely. And when you have come further lower in alluvial plain, you are finding there is no stone, and soils are very fine, and different layers, light color and this is dark color layers are there. So we make the horizons and take the soil samples. But when I am taken near to the river, you see the soil profile, there is a sand layer, there is a clay layer. Soil texture is different from top to the bottom. If you have taken the reflectance characteristics only, you have get the reflectance of this one. But subsurface soils, you cannot interpret it. So that's why, to understanding the what soil type is there, we take the soil profile. And soil profile, we are seeing there that as geomorphology changes, soil changes. So geomorphology is most important than your land use land cover. In general, people take the samples seeing the land use land cover. No, that is the third important factor. First, you divide your land based on geomorphology, then based on the topography, then based on the land use land cover, and then what you get the map area. In that area, if the two places similar soil map unit is there, it means similar soils will be there. So any place you can take the soil samples. So then we make a table, map units, and we characterize the texture in each map unit, drainage, depth, texture, and soil chemical analysis, suppose pH. So you are knowing that is this H1F, H2F, what you have interpreted here, H1F, H2F, H1F, H2F, and H1F, H2F, or H2A. These soils you are getting here. You can collected the samples there, and you have analyzed the samples in the lab, and you are getting this information, and you can get the soil characteristics. In that way, this is the way we have prepared the soil map. So remote sensing data, we have prepared these polygons, and these polygons collected the samples, and we can generate the soil map. So this is your methodology for soil mapping in nutshell. I can say, take the remote sensing data, take the ancillary data, means geomorphology map, topo sheet, climatic data, and geomorphology map or topo sheet and remote sensing data. All three data together you study by visual interpretation and make the soil landscape map. And this soil landscape map, you go to study the soil profile. If not soil profile, you take the surface and subsurface sample. If your project is on soil carbon stock or fertility or your soil carbon or soil health, not need to take the soil profile. Soil profiles only we need to take when we are going for soil mapping. But your objective is not soil mapping, but your objective is to study the soil health or soil carbon or soil nutrient. But the question comes, where to take the soil sample? That sample which represent the entire area. The sampling plan you can design based on soil landscape analysis approach. So you will, where remote sensing data will help to make your area, divide your area into various map units, and in that map units, dissimilar map units, we take the soil samples. And soil samples you have to take where the roads are there. So you select the sample strips, and on the sample strips you move and collect the soil samples, and then you will able to prepare the soil map. So in ground truth data collection, you are collecting the soil samples and you are characterizing the soils. So this was the methodology for standard soil mapping, and this is the methodology also we are using, or one can use for sample for their project if he is not doing soil mapping. Now I will also move to another technique which we are nowadays talking much, digital soil mapping. Digital soil mapping, first I want to clear you that it is not replacement of conventional soil mapping. It cannot replace, because digital soil mapping you are getting the properties of the soil, and mainly surface properties and sometimes subsurface. But you cannot get that is the soil profile, like that vertical section of soil profile and complete classification of soil or soil genesis or many other informations which you are getting in soil by characterizing the soil profiles. We get actually the total potential of soil, total limitation of the soil, which are the constants. So which we I shown you in the previous slide that you can achieve by conventional soil mapping, where it it is mandatory to study the soil profile. And if not for the if your objective is not mapping soil profile or studying soil profile, then even for other project also it helps, the methodology helps in getting informing you or it deciding that where to take the soil samples. So you can use soil landscape analysis approach. Digital soil mapping is the generation of digital properties of the soils. Here what we do, it is a rapid measurement techniques to predict soil qualities for the area where you have not sampled. Suppose this is my area, and at randomly I can take the samples at various land use, land cover, various geomorphology, or at various places you can take these samples. And for the same area, from remote sensing data, we can generate various spectral index map, and that we are calling as a covariates, and we call it is environmental covariates. This is derived from the remote sensing data, and those information we can use the predictive models or we use the machine learning techniques to generate the soil information, or we are calling soil map. So here digital soil mapping is a process for creating a soil map by combining field and lab data, or by combining data with your environmental data. Environmental data means map generated using remote sensing data and digital elevation model, that is we call it is covariates. For digital soil mapping, we use the model of known as a score pan. Here we say the soil is the function of climate, organism, relief, parent material and time. Also here is that is one is that N is the location, geospatial location. Because of GPS, we can get the correct information of geographic information of the point, and that point information we correlate, soil informations we correlate with this parameter. So here the model is similar, but the extra thing is was added that you are having the N or spatial position of the sample. So that's why it is very easy to correlate a point data with the other environmental variables. And these factors, suppose soil means old soil information, organism, relief or topography or parent material, other factors are same. And these factors we call it is environmental covariates. So environmental covariates and point data, you relate that one by statistical methods. And what are the statistical methods? Your decision tree method, your random forest, neural network, artificial, your SVM techniques, soft vector machine. So various statistical models are there. With that models, with those mathematical relations, you establish the mathematical relations with the soil information and the environmental covariates to generate the soil properties. So I will show you the one method how to generate. Suppose I want to generate the spatial distribution of soil nutrients using terrain data and geostatistical methods. You can read this paper. From Carto digital elevation model, we characterize terrain parameters, various primary and secondary terrain parameters. From remote sensing data, I have collected the soil samples at randomly, and the soil samples I characterize the carbon and nitrogen and phosphorus content in the soils. So that you have to do collect the soil samples randomly, and then you analyze for these nutrients, and then you are making the relationship. You see that one. This is the remote sensing data. From this one I generated the NDVI map. This is the digital elevation model. From this digital elevation models you can generate this much of parameter: elevation, slope, profile curvature, plan curvature, terrain indices, topographic wetness index, sediment transport index, stream power index. These are the indices you can generate from them. Now you have in your area you have taken the samples, soil samples at various places. Now you relate this parameters NDVI map and this of a particular location, because locations you are knowing. So on that locations you make a relationship that is we call geostatistical analysis, and you can generate carbon map, nitrogen map, phosphorus map. So here I have not used the soil landscape analysis approach. It is easy that I have related the soil properties information with this environmental variates. These are the environmental variates. And I have prepared the map. But this map I can prepare for surface soil properties, sometimes subsurface. But the advantage of conventional soil map or requirement is different. Here the requirement is different. Here it is prepared the soil mapping of erodibility of soil, where I have taken the slope map, terrain wetness index map, and I have taken the sample. Here I calculated the K value or soil erodibility and make the relationship, multiple linear regression model. So using this regression, develop the regression model, and this is the regression model, it is shown here. And I can generate the soil K or soil erodibility map. And this soil erodibility map is very much useful when we are studying the watershed, soil erosion modeling, or using the soil erosion. Then we need soil erodibility map. So you can use this one. Here it is shown mapping of soil carbon. So in one area soil carbon has been mapped, where you see the I did the sampling of 0 to 15 centimeter, and you analyze the soils pH, EC, soil organic carbon, NPK. So all map you can generate. From satellite data you have generated the spectral index. From digital elevation model you have generated the terrain index, and this one you did the correlation analysis. Means you have developed the relationship using artificial neural network model. And this ANN modeling, it has did the relationship study between the soil parameters and the environmental parameters. These are the environmental parameters. And once it establish the relationship, then that relationship you can use for generating soil organic carbon map, and you are getting this soil carbon. Here red color showing the carbon is highest, and here the carbon is low. So very easily I can make the soil carbon. Details you can, here it is written from this journal, this research paper. You can read in detail, the methodology is shown there. Another, I can use soil health and soil quality assessment also for nutrient management in watershed. So what is done? Here you see red point is shown where I have collected the soil samples of 0 to 20 centimeter depth, analyzed the soils and prepared the soil organic carbon map, nitrogen map, phosphorus map, potassium map by IDW means kriging methods. IDW kriging methods. The map was prepared and then these maps were integrated here to generate the soil quality index, or it is known also as a soil health index. And this I can do with using analytical hierarchy process AHP methodology. So I can generate soil health and soil quality directly by taking the samples of the surface and subsurface and analyzing the soils, and I can generate the map and integrate that. Here it is shown you digital soil mapping using environmental covariates. So environmental covariates we need to generate. From where I have generated environmental covariates? Satellite data, digital elevation data, climate data, land use, land cover. These I have taken as environmental covariates. In the field, you have collected the soil samples. Suppose this is the sampling locations is shown here. I have collected the soil samples. Analyze the soils for pH, ECR soil parameters. Then you did the relationship between this one by regression analysis. And then you use the digital soil mapping technique, random forest regression method. And by doing this one, you can generate the map, for example, property map soil organic carbon distribution, spatial distribution of zinc, because zinc was also analyzed, so mapping of zinc. So n number of soil properties you can map. Here, whatever the properties you have listed here, pH, EC, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, all these maps can be prepared easily by random forest regression method. This is the DSM techniques used. But so what is the requirement? You take the soil samples at random point in different land use, different type of geomorphology. Your samples should be well distributed, and the locations you know by GPS location of the same points. I know the environmental factors, environmental variables, which I can generate this map. So you can correlate both and you can generate applying the DSM techniques to generate the individual property map. So this can easily we can generate the information. Here at the end, I can say that this is the remote sensing data provides you a reliable information of your soil resources, and this remote sensing GIS is an effective tool in generating spatial informations which can be used to assess the potential and also the mapping of degraded lands for land use planning. If any questions, you can put to my email also. And here I am showing you one brochure of the course, Remote Sensing and GIS for Digital Soil Mapping. We conduct 2 weeks course also on digital soil mapping, which will be held in this year, 1st December to 12th December at IIRS campus. And those who are interested to join this digital soil mapping course, they can go to the IIRS website and register for this course. Thank you very much.